At 71 Dixie, a single slip becomes a sentence. The air itself is a blade. It scours exposed skin and turns breath into glass. On a high, wind-battered shelf of ice sits a small wooden outpost, a research sanctuary thrown up like a stubborn ember against endless white. Smoke threads from a crooked chimney. Inside, a heater coughs. Outside, life clings where it should not. The sanctuary is an experiment in extremes, a controlled habitat for species being studied for resilience, a place where scientists test limits and caretakers nurse the fragile. Today, the trio on the cliff, an elderly woman with a wool scarf wrapped twice around her chin, a mother gorilla with fur rimed in frost, and a baby whose small hands are pink against the cold, are doing something ordinary. They are fetching water, filling a metal bucket at a melt point where the sun's brief favor leaks through ice. Routine. Habit. A moment of quiet that feels almost holy in that hard place. The bucket slips. It is a bright metallic sound that shatters the white hush. Metal hits ice and slides, a small comet. The woman ducks, arms flailing. The baby, startled, scrambles and leans too far toward the cliff's glassy edge. For a heartbeat, there is only motion. 3 bodies, the world reduced to a single line of potential. Then the world splits open. They teeter. The elderly woman's boot scrapes, then finds no purchase. The baby's fingers close on wet rock and then flail. The mother's arms go wide, instinct quick as lightning, raw as muscle, and everything slows as if the cold itself thickens time. Wind rips at their faces, fury turned to a howl. Frost flakes in the air like confetti of old things. The cliff drops away into a lidless dark. Hands meet skin, fingers hook. The mother's grip is iron and velvet at once, strength tempered by careful, clumsy gentleness. She clasps the baby to her chest, and with her other arm she reaches for the woman, pulling, trying to anchor 2 lives at once against an abyss that demands one. The scene compresses years into seconds. Arteries drum in ears. The heater inside the outpost is a distant memory. Sound is all wind and the brittle snap of brittle choices. The mother's breath steam clouds in front of her face. Condensation beads on her lashes and freezes. Her chest heaves. Her hands, swollen with cold, ache for purchase. The woman, teeth chattering, scrambles for a hold on the mother's fur. Her fingers are thin and raw. For a moment, hope exists like a fragile thread. It is impossible to save both. Every animal instinct in the mother snaps to the baby. Every human instinct in the woman claws back. In the span of a single, terrible eternity, the mother measures weight and angle, the pull of gravity, the sound of the baby's breath against her fur. She tests a tug, shifts the baby's tiny body closer to her chest, and with the other hand reaches for the woman again. The woman wedges a gloved thumb into a crevasse. She laughs, a sound that is part shock, part pleading, and the laugh becomes a sob. Snow powder puffs up like the ghosts of 100 wrong steps. Somewhere below, ice meets darkness. Time becomes a tightrope. The mother's jaw sets. She knows what she must do before fully knowing that she knows. Not because she reasons it, but because the calculus of survival is carved into vertebrae older than speech. Protect the infant. She presses the baby closer, a motion that is prayer and refusal at once. The moment of decision is not a cinematic flourish. It is small, cold, and irreversible. Her fingers move. They slip. A grasp loosens. The baby's cry is swallowed by the wind. For one blinding instant, the mother turns her face to the cliff, pressing lips to fur as if to seal a promise. Then weight leaves her arms, and the world answers with the sound of a thing falling into deep, unlit snow. At the same instant, a shout cuts like a flare. Voices, frantic, adult, human. Boots pound on frozen ground. A gloved hand, one of the sanctuary's staff, throws a rope. Another catches it. For all their hurry, the rope is a hair late for one of them. The woman is heaved upward, body coming back over the lip of the cliff, lungs exploding with icy air that tastes of iron and relief. Her cheeks are wet with tears and frost. She collapses, shaking, into the embrace of people who are themselves trembling. They circle the mother gorilla as if unsure whether she will turn on them or collapse entirely. She crouches, chest heaving, fur crusted with snow, the hollow where the baby had been taut and visible. Her hands crawl over the lip of the cliff as if searching for something to hold on to, now that the thing she prioritized is gone. Her eyes, dark and bright, lift to the woman. There is a moment, longer than manners allow, where grief and gratitude crash into each other like colliding icebergs. If you want more real-feel survival stories, hit subscribe. The rescue team checks the ravine below. They lower themselves on ropes, helmets flashing against the steep face. The cliff throws back only wind and the thin, desperate calls of ravens. They find scattered fur in a small clearing, a tuft caught on an icy shrub. No body. The slope at the bottom is a churn of packed snow and crusted ice. It seems to have swallowed the fall and then sealed itself with silence. Then, something else appears in the snow. Half buried, running away from the edge and toward a line of broken moraine, are deep human boot prints. Not the careful, measured tracks of sanctuary staff. Those are neat, uniform, expected. These prints are broader, heavier, layered with scuffs, set in a hurried march that led away from the cliff rather than toward it. They cross the ravine as if someone had been there before the accident and then left in a hurry. The prints disappear under a wind-blown drift, but their pattern, deep heel, worn tread, stays like a question pressed into soft earth. The discovery changes everything. The story slips from accident into suspicion. Nothing in the frozen air screams proof, only implication that someone else had stood at that ledge earlier. Their boots, cold and distant, suggest possibility, negligence perhaps, or something worse. But they do not say why. The rescuers exchange looks that carry the weight of all the things they cannot know. Back at the outpost, the woman sits with a thick blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She presses her fists into the fabric as if to hold heat inside. She offers the mother hand after hand, soft, apologetic touches. Her voice is small and reedy when she speaks, more stunned than accusatory. She tries to soothe. She tries to explain that the bucket had slipped, that she had leaned, that she had not meant. Her sentences fall apart like ice. The mother does not understand the words. She understands the comfort. She understands the touch and the furious, useless ache that keeps returning to a place where a tiny hand had once been. She rocks minutely, a movement that has nothing to do with argument and everything to do with the physics of grief. Around them, people move in slow, efficient circles, logging details, taking photographs of the boot prints, murmuring into radios. The community of the outpost becomes a ring of cautious hands and faces, shaded like twilight. No one blames outright. No one pronounces judgment. But suspicion hangs there, thicker than any frost. The footprint trail is a wound that will not knit easily. The question of why someone had been near the cliff, what they had been doing, whether they had seen and left or had been part of some other, darker calculus, creates a new cold that does not come from the weather. It comes from knowing that human hands had been on the edges of this disaster before fate had its say. The mother's world narrows to the hole in her chest and to the sound of the woman's breathing. Sometimes she lurches toward the cliff, as if the landscape itself might cough up the lost thing. Sometimes she